to Better Together Sunday afternoon. Thank you guys for joining us. Today we have a great topic. We always have good topics, but today we have a great topic. Today we're going to be talking about how men are from Mars and women are from Venus. And so what that's all about is it actually stems from a book that was published in 1992 by Robert Gray. And he wanted to talk about the differences with men and women in communication. He was married and he kept saying, kept running into walls on what was said and what was happening and how he was receiving it. So he wrote this book. So we're going to talk about that today. And
I've heard the saying a lot, so it'd be interesting to dive into, what that actually means and how that shows up in interactions.
Yeah, because I think it's kind of a coin phrase now. People say when you hear men are from Mars and women are from Venus, what do you think that means?
Yeah, it's a good. I mean, I think what it means is just like we're just so alien to each other. I mean, that's what I'm hearing.
Yes,
which we all feel.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I mean, we're speaking different languages, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're going to talk about today is we're just going to explain that it's not men versus women. It's just understanding each other better.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So sometimes it feels like men and women, sometimes we speak different languages. That's what it seems like. And so it's when we're talking about relationships, we're talking about family, we're talking about dating, we're talking about marriage, we're talking about friendships, and we talk about work. And when we have a better understanding of what the expectations are and what the understanding is between men and women, we communicate better. So we're going to have a better outcome.
Yeah. And it's like, have you ever left a conversation thinking that's not what I meant? I'm sure. I mean, we all have. And especially when like women are interacting with men, I feel like there's a constant disconnect. Even with the best of intentions, there's a constant disconnect that I think at a certain point, we kind of all just accept that as just what it is.
No, it's so true. That's so true. I mean, they're just differences. I mean, just generally differences. I mean, the biological differences, right?
Mm-hmm.
That the biological differences are like, the differences connected with the body and the brain. Not rules, and it's not everybody, but yeah, we do have biological differences.
Yes.
And then we have
something, I mean, some of the biological differences could be just the stress response, hormones, even our physical development. We've brought this up before. It's the thing about how men may be more focused on like problem solving. When it comes to stress, they're like, oh, this is bothering me. How do I fix it? Whereas women may be more focused on getting like emotional support and talking through what's stressing them out to get to the solution opposed to an upfront solution. Hormones like testosterone is often associated with competitiveness, risk-taking, physical aggression. Estrogen and oxytocin are linked to like bonding, nurturing, emotional connection. So that makes sense about how we would focus on our own stress and how to alleviate it. And then just like physical development, women may experience pregnancy, childbirth, which impacts how they're focused on caregiving, where men don't have to deal with those things. So they don't naturally have to deal with caregiving as aggressively.
Right. But I mean, also, I think that it's important for us to note that, we need to have a balance. You need to have a balance of those things. Sometimes women have more this, more that. A man might have more this or more that. So you might see it showing up in different ways in different men and different women. So it's not all, one thing. But also about the social conditioning is different from men and women, right?
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest pieces. I mean, people are always questioning the like nature versus nurture. And I know me, I'm interacting with my single friends. We're trying to figure out, it's like, are men just biologically this way, or is it just how they're the child rearing and the expectations put on them at an early age? And social conditioning is really just like refers to how society teaches us about how men should be, how women should be, and it comes from an early age. Everything from like boys to like telling boys to not cry or man up, and then telling girls to be peacekeepers, think about others, be nice, don't disrupt. Things from an early on. So it's just like girls are like born and bred to be nurturing, to not disrupt, like I said, and I think that has impacts on how we operate, where men are kind of bred to disrupting is more acceptable for them.
Yeah, I mean, women, girls are, expected to make space.
Yes.
And to kind of not be even seen, right?
Yes, to limit, to take up as little space as possible. I mean, everything like physical, how girls are like, oh, cross your legs, like try to like minimize yourself, like don't flail your arms around. Boys, they get to like man spread, their like legs are all over the place, taking up 2 seats on the bus. Another thing is like the social conditioning I think about often is like the child's toys. Like, and it's a little more gender neutral now than it used to be, but it certainly was like a emphasis on like, oh, what do little girls need to know? They get a baby doll, they get a kitchen set, they, get all these things that are about being a homemaker. Boys get like tools, they get action figures, things that are more active, they get sports equipment. So stuff like that, I think definitely has impacts at just like how you see yourself and what things you care about and, place highly in your life going forward.
No, that's so true. I mean, yeah, because you think about it, I remember, even think about the whole reveal thing, even at the baby shower. Boys wear blue, girls wear pink, right? Yes. We're already like putting them on a path per se. Yes. And not even thinking about it. We don't think about it. And then we put our like I said, we put our girls in pink. We do all these other things. We do just different things for the different genders. And just like you said, I mean, we're going away from it a little bit now by not like forcing them to do certain things. But I think we also went away with it by allowing boys to do more things. Like, a lot of boys, and I don't even know when this happened, was when boys were wearing 2 earrings.
Oh my goodness.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And that was okay. But it used to be one. Yeah, it used to be, matter of fact, even before my time, it used to be 1 earring, but an earring in one ear meant something, and an earring in the other ear meant something. So so we kind of got past that. And now it's like people kind of do whatever they want to do now.
But something interesting that I heard online was the idea of like, gender neutrality. Like gender neutrality really just skews masculine, which is also interesting. Like you don't see a lot where their gender neutrality is skewing towards like feminine. Oh, we're going to do a gender neutral birthday party. You don't see them using purple. Right. They're always going to use something that's more boyish. Like they're like, green. So it actually is, it's very interesting. It's like, okay, we're going to be gender neutral, but it's never going to be in the way that it leads boys to seem feminine. It's always going to be the opposite.
That's interesting. I mean, that's new information to me. I hadn't really heard about that before. I know you, and that's one of the points of, another little stickler about we're better together, because the things that I'm hearing are not necessarily going to be things that you hear. So that's why when we come together, we get more, and we get a broader range of information. So I love that. So then we talk about, here's a couple examples about, girls, when boys fall down, we say, shake it off. And little girls fall down, we're like, are you okay? Right. So those are just some examples on how we do social conditioning, how we're treating boys different than we treat girls. Right. And I guess the question is, Sierra, are we raising boys and girls differently before they even understand those expectations?
I 100%. I think that's clear. I think most people would say that if they gave it some real like thought when asked the question. I think there's just a lot of expectation put on girls very young that boys that are not put on boys. And men do have like a lot of responsibility in our society, but I think that doesn't happen until late. I think that happens at like boys are treated as though they're like they need to be told what to do and like given a certain path until they're like 18, until they literally leave the house. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, you're a man now. You know, pay the bills, do this, do that. Whereas girls are like built up their whole life. They're like, you are a woman, do this. This is how things are going to be. This is what your responsibilities are going to be. So it's just, I think we just get it younger. Whereas men, it kind of just it just turns on immediately.
That's such a good point. I think we were talking about this last week about how girls, we start early with girls managing and having responsibilities, starting with, when they first, get their cycle. They have to manage it, right? Whereas the boys, they're still running around playing, just being at that time. So girls do start earlier. And so, I mean, it makes sense that girls, mature faster than boys do because they have that responsibility. The sooner you give kids responsibility, I believe, the sooner they're going to start in the maturation process. And we don't really do that with boys. Some, I'm not going to say all, but don't really do that with boys as much as we do for sure with girls. Something. It's definitely something. And then we talk about family upbringing, how children often learn behavior by watching the home that they grow up in.
Yes.
And we've seen that a lot with adopted kids that were born together, but then they've been sent to different homes. And we saw like there's a couple, not even experiments, but there's a couple examples of how twins ended up in different homes. Yeah. And they grew up very different, or they ended up in different homes and they're very much alike. Yes. Right. So now we're talking about the biological piece, and then we're talking about the learned piece, right? Yes. And I just think I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, like adopted children, like typically it's like, oh, they're like the family they grew up with. Like, I mean, I've spoken to people who like they're Black biologically, but they grew up with a white family around all white people. They didn't know they were Black until like kids told them in like middle school, because it just there's nothing, it was never brought up to them.
No one ever talked about it. Yeah.
Exactly.
We talked about that before about like, when I grew up and I didn't know I was, I didn't know I was poor, really. I didn't know it. And you don't know it until somebody tells you. Just like you don't feel like you're less than until somebody tells you and you accept it. Yeah. Right. Because people can tell you anything. You don't have to accept it. I mean, based on your self-esteem. So yeah. Family upbringing, that's a big thing, right?
Yeah. Like something, it's about like, how the responsibilities are divvied up between like a father and a mother, if there are two parents in the family. Like if there's you just see the mom doing everything and you have a son, the son may assume, okay, this is what women do. Women just handle all the burden, they pay for everything, they cook, they clean, they do everything. Whereas if you see like 2-parent household, and even in 2-parent household, you see it where like a man could be, he goes to work, comes home, sits on the couch, watches TV, mom cooks, cleans, does this, or the opposite could be true. I know people who have fathers who are stay-at-home fathers, and that could impact how their son or daughter views what men's capabilities are or the options are for what they could be doing. Because I know a lot of men don't see the option to be a stay-at-home dad at all. So they wouldn't even assume that.
They wouldn't consider it, and they think that they would think that that's like not okay. Like I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. I think we're seeing it a little bit more than we had seen it in the past, and I'm happy about that. Because a father can be very significant in the home as well. if that's what if he wants to do that. So I think
yes, exactly. And I think the opposite is true as well. I think a lot more women grew up with their mother being like, you know, either the breadwinner or just someone who, you know, works 9 to 5 and wasn't stay at home. So it's harder for them to envision themselves as being someone who stays at home.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's exactly true. I mean, you know, we do what we see, right?
Mhm.
And then I guess some other things is some homes encourage feelings, right? There's some differences. Some homes encourage emotional expression, some don't, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
some teach children to stay quiet or stay strong. You know, if a child grows up seeing respectful communication, then that's what they're going to do, right? Or
Yes.
they may repeat that in relationships. You know, if they
Mhm.
grew up seeing yelling or withdrawal,
Yeah.
that's what they're going to be doing. We talked about that last week, I think. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes. 100%.
Hmm. I guess the question is how much of who we are comes from what we watched growing up.
Yeah. I think it's a lot. It's that it's, you know, what you see in your home, and then what the only other thing, I mean, what you see in your home is like, that's like 90% of what you see. The only other thing are like external, like media. Maybe people, you know, if they grew up in a tumultuous household and they grew up watching the Cosby Show, they're like, oh, I didn't know families could be like this. You know what I
Right.
mean? It makes you think, you know, it could still seem fictional to you, like, oh, maybe no one's like this. This is just TV, but it also could give people the thought that maybe I could strive to be, you know, a more conventional family, more like less toxic, if you will.
Yeah. What about personality?
Mm.
You know?
Yeah, you mean like, are we talking about personality as in personalities, like how men's personalities are shaped and women's personalities are shaped? Like, what do we mean? We're talking
Just in
about,
general, I mean, you know, personalities can be different. You like two sisters raised in the same home,
yeah,
right? They could be
yeah,
different. So I guess we're still talking about learned behavior and born behavior kind of
yeah.
thing.
I do have questions about that. I mean, I'm sure part of it is biological because, you know, there's people who didn't grow up like with their mother in the home, and then they meet their mother and they're like doing very similar things. You're like,
Yes.
oh, I've never met this woman, but there's something biologically linking us together.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a biological component, but and then it's also like people like say you and me, they say we're very similar. We act very similar. And I'm like, that could be just that we're around each other
Right.
often, or we talk a lot, or you know, I'm
Mhm.
mirroring your behavior, and that's how I became this way. But I do think there is some component of it that's biological. It is
Mhm.
interesting because me and my brother Grant, who was on the show before, we're similar in ways, but we're also very different. He's more he's a little more extroverted. I'm more introverted. So it's and he grew up in the same home.
That's
So
true.
you weren't telling him to be more more extroverted than you were telling me. You were trying to get me to do things, and I was like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, I pushed and pushed and pushed to try to get you out there to do things, and you just rejected it. I mean,
I just wasn't
like
in the mood. It wasn't
yeah,
happening for me.
ever since you're like 4 years old, you're like, no, I'm not doing that. You had your own mind made up on things. So yeah, a lot of things are biological, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Like, you know, people say it is what it is. Well, yeah, it is what it is in some of those things. So
Yeah. I guess an example of that would be like someone who has like, you know, how people grow up, like they have a mom who's more like lenient. And then you have one that's super structured, and how that
mhm,
impacts you as a person. I mean, there
mhm,
could be negatives to both. You have a parent who's too loose, and then there's no structure, and you could have a lot of confusion and make a lot of bad decisions that clearly could have been fixed if you just would have given you a common sense answer. And then there's
mhm.
also someone growing up with someone who's too structured, and then all of a sudden you like don't know how to make decisions on your own. Or you also could be super organized. So, you know, it depends.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times we blame things on gender, and it's just a personality, right?
Mhm.
Say,
Yes.
oh, that's what. No, it's just their personality. It's not necessarily, based on gender.
Yes.
And so, it's like what
Mhm.
anyway. So, not let's see. Let's talk about. I guess we're going to talk about somehow some women are logical and problem solving, some men are emotional and expressive. And then I guess the question is, do we sometimes assume too much based on gender?
Mm. I mean, what do you think? What do you think about that? Do you think we're overly assuming?
I think so. I think that I mean, obviously there are differences with gender and there's differences with just personality. So I do think that they're equal, but at the
Yeah.
same time they are distinct. Men and women, the way that they think are
Yeah.
very distinct, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, even the communication styles. When you talk about, women communicate with more emotion. That's just what it is, right? And
Yes.
men may communicate more directly, but not all men communicate more directly. Because I mean, from what I've seen, I don't know that men even necessarily communicate more directly. I think they may, like
No.
we talked about that before, they may communicate linear, meaning like one dimensional kind of. I mean, that's just me coming from
Yes.
women. I feel like that,
They're more
like,
concise. Like they say less words. I don't know
yeah, no, true.
what that stat is, like how many words a man says versus how many words a woman would say in a
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
But it's like men just
Well,
say
okay. You ask, and they don't. And what happens is men don't necessarily do a follow-up question,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
We
Yes. Oh,
will ask a million questions. I was talking to Armand about like we'll meet we'll see somebody. If let's say we see somebody in the streets or whatever, and we'll say, "Oh, hey, how you doing? What you been doing?" Da 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 da. And a man will see somebody in the street, say, "Hey, what's going on?" They're like, "Good." And you
yes.
say, "Oh, I saw such and such," and a woman will say, "Yeah, I saw her, and she's doing this and this," and he'll say, "Well, I saw such," and you're like, "What's going on with them?" I don't know.
Yes. Yes, like we want like you can clearly see it when it comes to like them transmitting gossip. They're
Mhm.
terrible at transmitting gossip. Like they'll be like, "Oh, well Rebecca and James called off their engagement." And you're like, "Wait, what?" And you're like, "What happened?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know." It's like, "Oh, are they still living together?" "Oh, I don't know." Like, whereas they didn't ask anything. They just took that one piece and was like, "Oh,
Right.
interesting." Logged it away
Right.
and then moved on. Like we're getting the additional follow-up questions, like you said. I think we do apply too much to like gender specific like ways of doing. And I do think it's kind of it limits people. It puts people in a box. And I also think it makes it easier for certain gender that is not on this podcast right now to get away with certain things because we apply
We
like
give
we're
them
like,
a pass.
yeah, we
We
give
give
them
them
a
a
pass.
pass.
It's like, oh, they're just men. They don't know what's, some they just didn't think too much about it, you know? I mean, and
Yes.
I think there's a lot of like assuming that men are not critically thinking about their actions, or they're more so just like reacting to situations, or just, flippantly making decisions. And we think that women are so like calculated and they thought everything out and they know what's going on. So if a woman does something negative to you, you're like, she knows what she's doing. And then a
Ah,
man does something to you and you're like, well, maybe he doesn't understand and maybe he's confused and he hasn't thought about it fully. Like, so we give people some leniency depending on their gender.
yeah.
Also like, oh, if a man's tire is flat,
Hmm.
he doesn't know how to fix it. You're like, oh, you're like, why don't you know how to fix it?
Right.
Why? And then a woman, they're like, oh, of course she doesn't know how to fix it.
Right. Right.
But
So
they're
yeah.
like, yeah. So there's things we apply to gender that we really shouldn't, that kind of limits people.
No, I
But
agree.
so, and then, like you said, a lot of it's just personality. A lot
I
of
think
it's just personality, but also society allows certain people to get away with certain things, and others, they cannot get away with those things. So the people who are able to get away with things continue.
Well, I mean, who rules the world? I know Beyonce says we rule the world.
Oh no, she said runs.
Who runs the
She
world?
said
We run the world.
who runs the world, which I think is accurate. Who rules it is a completely different group.
Oh, that's good. I love that. I love that you made that distinction on there, because I always think who ruled the world. I mean, I was always thinking that, even though you're right. She says who runs the world. That is very different. They are two very different things. Wow.
Yeah, I'd rather rule.
Right.
I don't want to be running anything. I don't want to run the Dunkin'. I want to own the Dunkin'. That's not what I want to do. So there you go.
Well, I mean, when you say who rules the world, who made the rules, right?
Yes.
And so, we play by the rules from the rule makers.
Mm-hmm.
That's real. I mean, don't want to start bashing men, but
no.
It's a reality, right?
Yeah. And once again, the people who wrote the rules are a very small portion of men. Like, it's not every man wrote the rules of how society functions. It's like, the 0.0011% of a certain demographic of men. So that it would be foolish to even apply that to all of them, because they did not do that.
I'm glad you said that too, because a lot of times that we hear all the loud noise. They said, like, this was funny. Somebody said this. Somebody said, what did he say? He said the squeaky wheel gets the oil. That's not what he said. He said something different, but the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And my son didn't know what that meant. He's like,
okay.
Him and Najee on the
oh my god, it's the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah, that's what he said, gets the grease. And I thought, well, no, that's not what they say, but they say the squeaky wheel gets the oil. But they didn't even really know what that meant. I mean, not that they didn't know what it meant. They had never heard it before.
Yeah.
But it's true though, because we hear, like, even in the news, if you look at the news now, what you hear in the news is what people start talking about. But many times the things that people are putting out there in the news is a tiny opinion. The opinion is very small. And that's why if you look on the news now, they keep repeating it. I think we hear some people talk about that all the time, how they feel the power in just repeating. So you hear repetitive, somebody will say, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. And they keep saying it until people start believing it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So
anyway. And I think that does come down to there's like a lot of men get defensive when we say, oh, patriarchy, men created these rules, because they specifically did not, and not even their grandpa or their grandparents. But it's just like, okay, you didn't specifically put these chains on, but you benefited from it. And I think that's a difference that people have a hard time understanding.
I think I was going to go down to just general perspective. We're talking about relationships and communication growing up, how men and women were expected to act. We talked about it before. The questions were men taught to hide their feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Were women expected to be caretakers? We talked about that.
100%. 100%. Yeah, men are definitely told to hide their feelings. I mean, also there's plenty of women that were told to hide their feelings, especially in Black households. There's a lot of young girls are not told that they should be heard or understood sometimes. For immigrant households, it's kind of like, oh, parents are in charge, kids be quiet, just do what you're told, type mentality. So that's 100%.
Yeah, I think that younger women and men are communicating even more different than they were in the past. Right?
Yeah.
I think there is, and they were talking about this before. I was just listening to something recently about, how, boys don't have friends.
Yeah.
Well, they're only friends they have are online.
Yes. Yeah. The thing is, girls are the same. The young girls, they don't have friends in person either. No, none of them do. No.
I mean, what's going on? So how people are doing? What are people doing socially?
Online. That's who their friends are, and their friends are on Snapchat, and their friends are on
Girls
Instagram.
too?
Yes, yes, yes.
Wow.
I know girls who are Grant's age, about 25, and all their friends are just online, and they speak about them like, you know, how they speak about them as if they're interacting with them in person, but they're talking about online. Like I've had that encounter several times where I was like, wait, I thought you were like, the way you're describing it, you were like out at a bar with them. No, it was just you're FaceTiming them. So yeah, people don't know, the younger people, they are definitely having more friendships online, and that's either gender. Now the boys having less friends, I feel like that's always been the case.
Really?
Like when you were younger, do you feel like boys had all types of friends? Like most guys had more friends than girls, and there was because what I see is a lot of guys, they seem, and this also could be true for both. People seem to have friends to fill the gap until they get into a relationship, and then they then they discard them because they're like, oh, I don't need that anymore.
Well, when we were younger, I mean, and I believe this to be true, I think we had talked about that before. We had more of a community.
Yes.
So you didn't have, I mean, it wasn't you just had your community. So your friends were people that you lived by, right?
Mm-hmm.
People don't go outside and do like community activities like they used to. So you don't establish relationships with your neighbors anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, you go, even for play groups, they go to play groups. They don't just go outside and stuff happens. So correct. I think that's how it was when I was growing up. So you automatically have friends just based on who lived in your neighborhood. Everybody, yes. I mean, like where I grew up, we're all friends because when we were outside, we were all in the same space. So it's a little different now because kids are spending a lot more time on the inside, which kind of saddens me a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's definitely concerning. Like they don't, people don't trust their neighbor. So you don't really trust your child. Just be like, oh, just go next door and knock on the door and see if you can get some milk and see what happens. Like, we don't trust your neighbor like that. So there's a lot of like, you have to really force community from any age. When you're really young, you're like, oh, I trust this person. I'll let my child hang out with just this person. So it's just like the gates for friendship are higher, resulting in less friendship interactions. I mean, even you live in the city, you have to like, a lot of people are not just going over to their neighbor and being like, hey, let's hang out.
That's true. No, absolutely. Yeah. She said, men are told not to cry. That's exactly right. We talked about that before. Men are told not to cry. They're told to, suck it up. And then I guess a question I have is, are women really more emotional? I mean, are they?
That's a good question. I think there's a slight hormone aspect that makes us more emotional.
But at times, I would say at times, like, are we more emotional? Yeah. She said, oh, look at this, what Laura said. She said, I grew up in a single family home. My mom was breadwinner versus my husband grew up in a home with both parents. I always thought both parents' home was how it's supposed to be growing up. Now that I'm grown and understand life, adulting for myself, my mom raised 3 children alone better than 2 parents in the household. Right. So it really does depend. It really does depend because I think Sierra said this before. Many times you have 2-parent household and the dad is there, but he's not present.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. A lot of like emotionally absent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I said women are not more emotional. Yeah. I'm like, that's true. I mean, who causes all these wars?
I think that no, and I think that has been pushed by the other folks. I think it has been pushed because when you push that, then you're allowed to seem make women seem a little inferior.
Yes. But like you don't want to put them in control or anything. You like, women can't be in charge. They're emotional. Like, I mean, people, even when you see certain people running for president, they're like, oh, what happens when they're on their period? When someone calls from another country and everyone's like, well, they're not on their period. They're 60 years old. But people don't understand those things. So it's like,
well, and I think what the difference is, and we'll have to do a show on that, and I'll have to do a little bit of research on it. I think that men are equally emotional, but I think that they express it differently.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think that they do. I think that they're expressing their emotions differently. Because even my sister April was talking about this before. She has 3 boys. She's a boy mom, and she was talking about that. Even though boys don't have their physiological cycles, that they do have cycles. You can tell,
Yeah.
like sometimes in a month they're acting different. And they have their times where they're going to be acting different. So I think that we're all emotional creatures, right?
Well, yeah, and I mean, you could see it. I mean, what's it called? I took a class in college about this. It's like you could see it's like who's committing like violent crime, who's getting in fights, things like that, and that's emotional. Like
Yes.
that's not coming from a place of being a mild mannered and neutral about how you're feeling. So I think men just outwardly show it more physically. That's why boys are more involved in, like, they put boys in sports to get it out. I mean, all their sports they have way more violent sports than women do. And that's how they the society allows men to get it out, is in sports. Like, oh, go do some boxing, not to talk about it. It has, yeah, they definitely have a cycle. It's been studied. I think it's daily. They have like a daily cycle, which is like, what? Like, how do you feel so different throughout the day? And we need to do some more research on that, because and it's like it probably has something to do with testosterone and when it peaks and when it, so that'd be interesting.
No, that would be interesting. Again, I'm going to go on record to say that men are just as emotional as we are, but they express it differently. That's what I'm going to say. I'm just going to leave it just like that, because it's true. It's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we wouldn't put our expectations on them and guide and lead them in different ways than we do with girls, we might have it differently. Like, we're pushing it more and more. We're trying to get them to express themselves more, tell them it's okay to cry, it's okay to feel, and things like that.
Yeah.
And so when we do that, we are finding, I've seen it, that we have a more balanced young man, right?
Yes.
That's going to be able to interact in a family as a man, and all those things. So I think that
especially, and I think it's becoming more and more required, and I think that's why there's a lot of relationship tension right now between men and women. Is just that with the requirements women are putting on men require more emotional availability, and in the past, that was not a requirement. Men did not need to be emotionally available to be considered a successful father. Now that is being added on them, and they have not had the training or the skill set to do so. And all of a sudden they're just like, wait, what? That's not what I was told. I was told if I like showed up and I wasn't like terrible and I had a job and I just showed up, that I should be good. But it's like, well, women have those things. Like, a lot of people are going 50-50. Even people, it's required to, split, to have dual income nowadays.
Oh man, yeah, that's so good. That's really good. That's really good, because what's happening is that the women came into the workforce, but was still required to do all the things that they were required to do before when they weren't in the workforce, right? Yes. So now the men who have always been in the workforce are being required to do some of the other things that women, as far as feeling, taking care of the kids and managing things like that. Yes. And they're not equipped as well. I'm not going to say that they're not, but they're not equipped as well. Are there some men out there that are doing it? And we're going to talk about that next month. Next month, we're going to have fathers on there, that are doing a great job. They're going to talk about their challenges. They're going to talk about, the different things that they have to do, the things that they knew that they didn't know. So we're going to have that next month when we start honoring fathers. So the fathers will have an opportunity to present their case, because we don't want to.
I'll never subscribe to 50-50, and I'm like, same.
Who said they don't subscribe to 50-50?
It was a vacation
She
every
said,
day.
I never subscribe to 50-50. Never, never.
No.
No, you don't. I mean, you can't subscribe to 50-50 because when you do subscribe to 50-50, men don't respect you as a woman.
Well,
They
the
expect
issue,
your
no,
buddy.
I think the issue is that the 50-50 that we're discussing does not exist. It's never going to be 50-50 if we turn it into, even if you do it the most like egalitarian way, where it's just like, okay, I like our mortgage is this amount. I make this percentage more than you, so I'm paying this percentage. You may pay this percentage, right? We split the utilities. Everything is like percent, like the most egalitarian way possible. The women are always going to have to do so much emotional and home labor that it offsets it. There's no way. There's an impossible. I just simply do not believe that, and that's why the 50-50 thing is troubling for me. Not because I have a problem with like paying my own way, and it's most women, all the women I know are perfectly capable of paying for like their own and splitting 50-50, and that's not a problem. But all it does, it just offsets everything towards what the woman has to do. The woman has to bear the children, clean the house, and she's working full time, and she's paying for half of everything. And you're just like, wait, ooh. And that's also why a lot of girls are like, wait, what is being a wife? What does that mean to me? If I'm just so, I'm like, so it's either I pay for all my own stuff and just like deal with my own problems, or I pay for my own stuff and then deal with his.
See.
So you're like, wait, what?
You too, buddy. No,
Yeah,
you're right. And you're expected to be a wife, right?
Yes.
You're expected to be a wife, you're expected to be a confidant, you're expected to be a business partner, all those things, right?
Yes. Like,
I love to hear. I can't wait until next month to hear what the men have to say about some of these same questions, because they have their opinions and I would love to hear them. But I don't know. I'd be interested to see. I'm excited to hear their case. I want them to state their case
all the time. There's like a lot of invisible labor that women are dealing with. There's a lot of stuff that women are doing that men do not even see are being done. And it will be interesting, like you said, when there's we have like the single fathers on here, because since there's like that component is completely absent, then they have to take up those pieces. And it could be that they just slot it in. They realize those things need to be done and they're doing it themselves. But it also could be that those things aren't being done at all.
Yeah, I mean, I can think back to my husband, because I feel like my husband was a great dad and a great husband. I feel like that's what he was. But even at the same time, the times that he would step up and he would do all these things, but the times that he didn't have to do it, he didn't do it.
No.
I mean, he could do it, but he didn't do it. And it was so because when we're talking about that, because of the roles, it's like, oh, if she got it, she got it, and so I just thought that was, I think that's interesting, that even the good guys, even the good fathers, even the good husbands, they still will allow us to have like these huge emotional burdens.
Yeah, and the consideration, the constant consideration women are doing, and maybe that's our fault. Maybe we need to pull back on how much we're trying to like have our hands in these pots and overly considering, and just thing is, it's one of those things where they say, they're like, if I don't consider it, it's gonna let things fall through the cracks. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Look, Laura said, yeah, I was spoiled. My husband did do the laundry. He did the laundry, he cleaned up. He did a lot of good things. But I was the financial manager, which is highly stressful. Yeah. But I'm excited about next month. I mean, there's just a lot of things that are different from men and women. I would ask this question. Here's some questions to ask about men and women. Who apologizes first?
Mm-hmm.
Men or women?
It depends on if you're in a good relationship or not.
Right. That's a good response. That's a real good response, right?
Yeah, because there's some men who feel like they're constantly just be like, whatever, and then the man is just apologizing even though he don't even know what happened.
See, that's the difference right there. Armand said men apologize first. Here's the thing. Men may apologize first, but many times they apologize so you can shut up.
Oh,
they're not apologizing. They're not apologizing to resolve the issue or to admit anything. They're trying to just close it, right? Yeah. We got to clap on that one. They're apologizing to shut it down.
Yes, but the thing is, but also this comes down to they are apologizing to solve the problem, and the problem is you talking. That is the problem. No, exactly. The conversation needs to end. How do we fix this? I lie and say I apologize for something they don't even know what happened.
I apologize. Right. So one of the things is, now here you go. Here, men, here's a nugget for you men. When you apologize to your whomever, you need to let them know, acknowledge what you're apologizing for, right? Yeah. And what's going to happen next time. Yeah. That's how you give a real apology.
The thing is, what if they the issue? I think that's where the confusion is, and that's what this whole episode is about. Is like women are from Venus, men are from Mars. I don't know if sometimes men understand, like when we're saying, "Oh, we're upset about this. You did this." I think sometimes they truly have no clue why that's a problem. What they did.
Right.
Like, and if you don't know why it's a problem, what you did, like it might be, and I think men just don't want to they don't want to converse about it too much. They don't want to dig into it. So they're just like, okay, I'll just say I'm sorry when they don't even know. They
don't want to put a lot of energy into it. And, but I'm finding, and I'm going to ask all these questions next week because I have questions. I have questions for the men.
I have questions.
Like, I just want to know. He said, men are king. Yes, men are king. We love our men. We love them. We can't do it without you.
Good men.
We absolutely do. And we want our men to win. We want our men to win.
Good women.
We want to win with them.
Yeah.
But so here's a couple other questions. Because I guess we're getting down to it, but here's a couple of questions. Who overthinks text? Men or women?
Women.
So what do you think about that? What do they do? What do we do?
I think in my generation, the women are overthinking text. I think because we're looking for like subtext and nuance, and like, oh, they replied back this speed, now they're replying back slower, where men might take it a little more face value of what they're literally what the words say. Whereas I was like, how did they write it? When did they say it? They said it this way before. And like they say it this way this time. So women are 100%. We're parsing it. I mean, we do it with our friends. Oh, he said this. Show the text. I said this. Does this mean this? Like we're literally like doing an FBI investigation.
Dissecting. But you know what?
There's not one here. Like literally.
Yeah. But no, I know from my guy friends, one in particular, if you don't respond back on their text like immediate, they get an attitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're not the only ones that are like watching, how quickly people respond back. And I think that, for men, when you don't respond back quickly, it's their thought process is different than ours. Because if a man doesn't respond back quickly to me, right, then I'm just thinking they're probably doing something, whatever. But if you don't respond back quickly to a man, he thinks that you're neglecting him, right? You're not. This,
I think this also could come back to the attachment styles. Like, and that's something we're going to talk about, like people who are more anxiously attached. And it also depends on the like dynamic. Of course, if it's like your friend and like your long distance friend and they don't respond back to something, you typically think, oh, okay, they're doing something. Right. Where it's like, oh, if it's someone you're dating and you're uncertain, you're like, oh, maybe they hate me and they never want to talk to me again. But also I think the social media piece and us texting more frequently has made this worse for both men and women. Because I see it all the time online where men are like, oh, they're parsing text too. They're like, she said this to me. What does that mean? When should I respond? Because I know in my age or like even younger, it's like cringy to respond back too fast because it seems like you're too thirsty.
She said, she needs to pick up the phone. You need to pick up the phone for clarity. That's so true. But what about this? Who wants to talk on the phone longer, men or women?
I don't know.
You know what I think?
Yeah.
It depends on who's into who. Whoever's into you, who's ever into you, into that person the most, wants to be on the phone the most, right?
Yes.
That's an indication. But here's the thing. Here's another question. Do who likes FaceTime more, men or women?
Men.
And I think here's the thing. Once again, I think it depends on the relationship, because men who are into you, they like FaceTime. Men who are not, they don't want you to see what they're doing.
Well, yes, but the thing is, when I'm saying just straight up FaceTime, like if they're like, okay, I can text, call, FaceTime. I think men like FaceTime because they're visual. Even if they don't even care. Because I know plenty of women who have been talking to a man who didn't care if they lived or died, but that man would 100% be on FaceTime with them for like an hour. Hours. Like they're in the grocery store and a man will FaceTime, and it's just visual. That's it. That's all it is.
Now, does he FaceTime her or is she FaceTiming him?
Yes. Yes, these men will FaceTime them and not care, but just want to see something.
Just want to see something.
You're bored and they just want to see something. That's why men FaceTime. I think women would be fine with a phone call, because then we don't have to be, because we know that we'll be fine with whatever they see from them, of whatever we see of them. Mm-hmm. But we know they're going to be examining how we look. So then we have to get pre-prepared and be ready, and we want our hair to look a certain way. Whereas a man can just FaceTime and be like, it don't matter.
Right, exactly. Well, okay, one more question. Who remembers details more, men or women?
I would say women do. Like, what do you think?
What do you think, man?
Yeah, men. Yeah. Who's more detail oriented? Is it the men or the women? Yeah.
Women. Okay, good. They would like that. Women. Well, here's the thing. Women who care women generally are more they're more into the details of things. Yes. But men who really care about you, they remember stuff. Yeah, they remember stuff, but it takes intent. I think women takes less intent for us to remember details. No. So men, when they're like, oh, I need to remember this. This is important. Like they have to like make an active decision, where it's like, we're remembering details not because we even want to. Like we remember details from something that we don't even want to remember. Yeah, so that's true. Well, and then the other thing, I think we talked about this in the communication part, is how, we put pieces together. Yes. So we remember, like, we'll remember this, and we'll remember that, and all of this stuff goes together. So whereas though men they learn things in like one effort, one event. Yes. Both depends on the subject. It does. You see some love in it. It does. You remember the links. The links, the link to this, to that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, thank you guys for the input. We really do appreciate it. But I'm telling you right now, next month is going to be epic. Yeah. The men are going to come out here and they're going to tell us the real deal. So we're going to know what's really going on with these men, especially in parenting, but also, what are men thinking about? What do they want us to know? From real men, live men. This is not going to be textbook stuff. This is going to be real stuff. So make sure you call your guys, call your girlfriends, like it, share, let everybody know that next month it's going to be all about men. We're going to honor fathers, and we're going to just talk about men next month. So, and Armand, I guess there will be a show tomorrow, Corner Truth tomorrow, and then Tuesday, and then Wednesday, and then I think, and then next week I think we're going we'll be back on Sunday. So we got about 4 shows this week. So tune in. All you got to do is tune in on the Legends from the Past and the Future, and you can see all the shows. So we want to make sure that you guys lock in on those as well. So we just thank you guys for joining us. Like and share, share it to some people. We hope we had some information today that helps you. We're just trying to bridge it over into Father's Day. And we'll see you guys next week. And remember, we are
better together.
Yes, always.